negative ions have a very, very positive effect on the body and the structure of water in the body.
So many people are deficient in these ions for various reasons. We're not grounding properly. We're not spending time on the earth. And there's just a lot of different ways that we're not being grounded. And that's part of how a foot bath works, is feeding your body a lot of these negative ions.
The human body is doing the detoxing. So it already knows what to do. It does this through urination, defecation, perspiration, and respiration. We're not changing that with the IonizeMe Maxx.
We're going to be talking about if Ionic Footbaths really work. How do they work exactly, and what kind of health issues can be addressed using an Ionic Footbath? Our guests today are Dr. Terrance Cooper. So Dr. Cooper was born in Michigan in 1941, and he served in the U.S. Marine Corps for 4 years before spending 2.5 years in Samoa as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he attended Sacramento Junior College in California and Brigham Young University in Utah, and before going to chiropractic college. And Dr. Cooper practiced chiropractic for 43 years before retiring, and he gave over 1,800 ionic detox sessions in his clinic, and has personally undergone over 300 ionic detoxes. And he's now the consulting physician for Health and Med. And our other guest is Mark Axelson. He's the founder of Health and Med, and he's a provider of products for detox and healthy living. And he founded his company in 2007. So Health and Med is a manufacturer of the IonizeMe Maxx series Ionic Foot Detox Bath. And his company also provides whole body vibration machines, portable infrared saunas, nutritional supplements, and other natural health products. Mark received a bachelor's degree in biomedical engineering from the University of Iowa in 1992 and an MBA from Brigham Young University in 1997. And prior to founding Health and Med, Mark's career was in marketing and sales of capital medical equipment. And Mark enjoys hiking, choir, and pickleball. He's married to his wife, Luana, and he has 6 daughters, 2 granddaughters, and 1 grandson. And you can learn more about Mark and his products. Just go to myersdetox.com/footbath. And now a word from one of our sponsors. So imagine a world where we don't actually fight cancer. We just tell our bodies to stop growing it. Sounds groundbreaking, right? Dr. Dana Flavin, who's a world-renowned cancer specialist for over 40 years, warns we are swimming in toxins. They're in our daily products, our food, water, and air. The real danger? These toxins signal our body to grow cancer. That's why I urge you to join Dr. Flavin and Nathan Crean, an award-winning health researcher, in an eye-opening web class. They'll reveal the 9 key toxins that could be triggering cancer in your body, and most importantly, how to eliminate them. Don't just fight cancer, go right to its root cause. So join me by going to conqueringcancer.com/Wendy Myers, MYERS, now to register for this free web class. It's so important. Again, that's conqueringcancer.com/Wendy Myers. Make the change today. Mark and Dr. Cooper, thank you so much for joining the show.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here, Dr. Wendy. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, so I want to talk to you guys about doing Ionic Footbaths. So first, why don't you guys tell me a little bit about your backgrounds and how you got so into detox? So Mark, why don't you go first?
Yeah, sure. So I've always been interested in natural health products, or products that help the body's natural ability to heal itself to shine. So back in 2007, we were looking around for good products. And I was thinking that a lot of people, when they think about health and interventions they need to make, people think diet, exercise. For diet, they think, healthy foods and nutritional supplements, hopefully whole food supplements. And for exercise, they think cardiovascular, strength training, and stretching. So if somebody is doing all those things, they might think they're doing pretty well at taking care of their health. But I beg to differ. There is one more important component. It's detox. People studies show that people have a lot of styrene and xylene and chloroform and benzene in the body, and so I wanted to get a product that would address that important component of health. So in 2007, we began importing some ionic detox systems from overseas. Then, after a few years, we started manufacturing our own machines because our customers were finding that the overseas machines had a lot of technical issues, high failure rates, and frankly weren't as powerful. So we started making our IonizeMe Maxx machines several years later. Those machines we make in Cedar City, Utah, USA, and we have an industry-leading 5-year warranty on those. And we made them really strong and powerful at ionizing. A lot of output voltage, a lot of output current on those machines.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to have you guys come on the show today. I wanted to talk about Ionic Footbaths because there's a lot of maybe people that have doubt if Ionic Footbaths work, or there's a lot of naysayers out there, and I want to kind of really educate people about this because I love Ionic Footbaths. I love the IonizeMe 5 that I personally use, and I think it's foot baths are one of the easiest ways and most effective ways to detox. So I wanted to have a clinician come on, Dr. Terrance Cooper, come on, who uses foot baths a lot in his practice, and the incredible results that he's seeing with his thousands of patients that he sees. So tell us a little bit about your background, Dr. Cooper.
Thank you, Dr. Wendy. I'm a retired doctor of chiropractic. I practiced 42 years, and I had a very busy practice, and I wanted to add an adjunct to what I was doing as far as practicing with chiropractic. So I got into detoxing, and I used some machines I didn't to get the satisfaction that I wanted. As far as there wasn't pulling out, the patient was still complaining some complaints. So I checked with Health and Med, and I met Mark at that time, and I got his machine. I've done over 1,800 detoxes, very effective. I've treated everything from brown recluse spider bites to Lyme disease, many other cases, and I found out that it works. And but not only that, some people say I use the machine, I sell it. And other people say, I just sell the machine, but I've used the machine. I did over 300 detoxes on myself with wonderful results. I'm 82 years old. I think my health is fantastic, and I owe that to detoxing. And so it's shown me, as far as, my goodness, blood pressure 126/62. But I do feel good, and I owe that to detoxing.
Yeah, I agree. I owe my health to detoxification. And I think detox, it not only addresses so many of our chronic health conditions today, but it's also incredibly anti-aging because toxins cause so much damage to the body and oxidation and different types of, oxidative stress on the body. You got to pull this crap out in order to have a healthy functioning body. Why don't we talk about some of the stories you have of like veterans you've worked with? I've talked to you before about this, but you've seen all kinds of incredible results with veterans and with other people with different health issues related to toxins. Tell us about some of your stories using the IonizeMe foot bath.
Thank you. And I'm the only consultant physician in the world for consulting for firms such as Health and Med. I get a chance to talk not to a couple of people, literally with hundreds. And I'm here to help people stop a problem before it starts. People call me, what do I do? Well, I'm diabetic. What do I do? I got cancer. Now, one thing I tell people, detoxing does not cure anything. Absolutely cures nothing. What it does, it takes the toxins out of the body, and then the body heals itself. Good example is I had a lady out of Tennessee. She contacted me, and she said that her husband had leukemia, and she had one of our machines. And so we started detoxing him, and she did aromatherapy also, but primarily detox. Within a period of 6 months, he no longer has leukemia. We got all the blood tests to prove that. I've got another gentleman, since you mentioned in the Gulf remember the Gulf we had about 30 years ago. I had a veteran come from that. He was totally disabled. He had I believe, the saffron gas. And he's just terrible. He can't walk. He's in a wheelchair, and he also totally disabled. I understand they put him on Oxycontin due to pain, and that is a derivative of heroin. And so, but what happens is on him, he's been able to now, instead of taking the chair that goes upstairs, he's able to walk upstairs. He said, now I can walk upstairs 20, 30 times a day. When we had the problems with the terrorists, he and another friend of his took a weapon, walked around his daughter's school, and he just had that type of help and due to detoxing only, nothing else. And I've got people who've, I tell you what, I help people build businesses for detoxing, and I'm able to keep them out of trouble. But also, for instance, they say, I got a lady just contacted me earlier today. Her name is Cheryl, but she's from Alabama. She said, Dr. Cooper, I'm 64 years old. I got a metal rod within my foot. Can I detox with that? So other people told me I can't. And I told her, yes, you certainly can. It's not going to affect that in any way. And I got other people say, I'm having heart issues. Can I use, I've got a pacemaker. Can I use it? And I always say that I check their cardiologist first. And I checked with one cardiologist. The old pacemakers used to have the wires that went from the little unit to the heart inside. And this one cardiologist said, hey, this is the finest piece of equipment out there. Your product's not going to affect this at all. Another thing that I have worked with over the years, and that is, I had one lady, she said, Dr. Cooper, I've had massive headaches. I've had MRIs, CAT scans, nothing wrong. But she said, I started detoxing, and within 3 days, my headaches were totally gone. What happened? I don't know. I have no idea. But all I do know is that it works. And another thing that is so helpful, and that I can help people on, I'm sure you know about it, Dr. Wendy, and that is a castor oil pack. First, what's a castor oil pack? If you take a piece of materials, cotton, 6x6, fold it over, now you got 3x6, saturate it with nuts where it's real sloppy, but nice where it's moist, put it on the right angle of the liver, and then take our belt, the infrared belt, and plug that into the machine. And as one of the medical doctors told me, he said it opens up your blood vessels by 25%, works miracles. And you can detox that liver, or you put it around the kidney areas, you can detox that. Because once you plug that into the machine's going to pull directly from the area that you put it. I got people wrap it around their thighs, around their hips. You just don't want to wrap it around your heart. Of course, you don't want to wrap it around your head. But the thing is that it would swell, and that some people are big-headed anyway. No.
Yeah. No, but I love that. I love that feature that you have this infrared belt that will help. I've never seen that with other foot bath companies, and that you can take that infrared technology and those infrared frequencies essentially, and really maximize the time that you're detoxing, especially giving your liver some support to help it with its job of detoxification. It's really ingenious. And I really think that your foot bath is a lot stronger than other foot baths out there, because it's really important to think about power and voltage when you're using a foot bath, because there's a lot of, people have to do on average about 400 hours of foot baths on average. So they have to do quite a few of these. And if you buy a model, say on Amazon, or like a cheaper one, or you're shopping by price or what have you, you could get a machine that you might have to do 2,000 hours on. And most people, they're not going to do that. They're just, they're not strong enough to really get the effects that you're looking for. Can you talk a little bit about that, Mark?
Yes, actually, to perform electrolysis of water, or splitting up water into pieces, you really need at least a voltage of 13.6 volts to accomplish that. But it should be much higher than that. Otherwise, it's just going to go back and forth between water and its pieces. So you'll want your Ionic Detox machine to have plenty of output voltage, probably at least 15 volts, in order to function, to actually do its job of detoxing. Our machines, we made sure we had plenty of output power, and they have 18 to 20 volts of output. And one of the machines also has 5 amps of output. So the IonizeMe Maxx is already the most powerful machine in the industry at producing ions, and we doubled that with the Max 5. So with the Max 5, you could actually perhaps do 15-minute treatments instead of 30-minute treatments and get pretty much the same type of results. So the more ions that are entering the tub means the more ions entering the body through the pores of the feet, and then the more ions circulating throughout the body.
Yeah, let's talk about how that works. Like, how does the footbath work exactly? Because I think that's what a lot of people's kind of maybe skepticism is. They think that all the toxins are coming out in the water, and how does that happen? Like, what's exactly going on there with how it works?
Okay, so you put your feet in a tub of water, and in the water is an ionizing array that's attached to the IonizeMe Maxx machine. The machine is producing safely a direct current in the water. This direct current is actually enough to split the water up into all the different pieces that water can be turned into. So you have positive ions being produced and negative ions being produced. So when these ions enter the body through the thousands of pores in the feet, circulate through the circulatory and lymphatic systems, one thing that occurs is they can attach to oppositely charged toxins in the body. So negatively charged ions are going to be able to neutralize positively charged toxins, such as free radicals and heavy metals. And the positive ions may be able to neutralize other toxins such as Roundup or biotoxins. But that is important to say is not everything that's happening. A lot of people don't realize that Ionic Detox is actually changing the structure of water in the body. It's actually, through the negative ions being produced, it is aiding the body with producing more structured water, or otherwise known as exclusion zone water, which allows the cells themselves to be negatively charged. And so research is showing that in human bodies where there is more exclusion zone or more structured water in the body, those bodies are functioning better. And when there's less structured water in the body, those are indicating the sicker bodies that are not functioning very well. So a lot of this has to do with the power of ions. And in this case, negative ions have a very, very positive effect on the body and the structure of water in the body.
Yes. And I think that's so important to use a device like this to increase the amount of negative ions that you're taking into your body, because so many people are deficient in these ions for various reasons. We're not grounding properly. We're not spending time on the earth. And there's just a lot of different ways that we're not being grounded. And that's part of how this works, is how a foot bath works, is feeding your body a lot of these negative ions. Your body's grounded better. It works better. And there's many, many other benefits to like feeding your body these negative ions.
Dr. Wendy, can I just mention, maybe I'd made it a little bit easier for people to understand. A lot of people don't know what free radicals are, things such as this, but in 2003, the Nobel Prize winners were 2 medical doctors, chemists, and they found out that the cells in the body were clumping, and when they were clumping together, nutrients could not get in and toxins could not get out. And they found out that a negative ion would open up those cells, releasing toxins. And so people say, well, our body detoxes any. What's the reason for it? First of all, if the body is clumping together, the cells are not functioning, you can't get rid of toxin. What happens? Your immune system goes down. You begin to have problems of diseases. We have a lot of obesity. We have diabetes, mellitus, cancer. Has to be causes for everything. And so what we're doing with this machine is just putting out negative ions. They go through the feet, through the pores, up the circulatory system, as Mark said, and they open up these cells and pull the toxins back out. Now, and Mark and I have talked about this, and that is, a lot of people say, well, what happens if I don't put my feet in the water and I'm going to get brown water anyway? Yes, you will. And that's due to ionization, that's due to the metal, that's due to the salt or chemicals that are in the water. But in all cases, the powerfulness that we have with our machines, you'll notice there's a scum that comes up. And there's those bubbles called hydrogen. That is what's being pulled out of the body. And I've demonstrated that on a newsletter that I put out to people. But have you noticed, Dr. Wendy, how heavy your machine is?
Yes,
Absolutely. Heavy. The reason why, because we build the transformers, and it's the only machine in the world that have built-in transformers, so we'll have the necessary power. And Mark's research that they've done, they come up brilliant with being able to have enough power to pull the toxins out of the body, not just to put a little scum there, but really pull the toxins out of the body. And you'll notice when you use your 5, you can feel the pulling power, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Also,
yeah,
there's an
very
odor
strong.
there also. There's an odor there also come back, be terrible, but it's what's coming out of our bodies. But hopefully that was a little bit more easier. And I'd like to mention that people can call me anytime that they want to. There's no charge, but I'm here to keep people from getting in trouble. In other words, if I just had different people contact me, probably 6, 7 called the past couple of days. People, what about this situation? I've got this young child. What should I do with this? And I can let them know so they're not going to get themselves in trouble or create a problem for anyone else.
I would like to mention one thing that's important here, and that is I would like to make the qualification that the IonizeMe Maxx is not an FDA-approved medical device. So we are working on that. We actually have some studies underway that hopefully, if things go well, this can be approved as an FDA medical device. But at this time, we cannot say that it is used for treating or curing any disease. However, we can, in fact, Dr. Cooper, and we talk to people every day that experience amazing things. And I will say this, the human body is doing the detoxing. Okay, so it already knows what to do. It does this through urination, defecation, perspiration, and respiration. We're not changing that with the IonizeMe Maxx. But what we are doing is we're sort of lightening the load on the body so that it can more efficiently process the toxins through the use of the negative ions.
Yes, yeah, you're just removing the roadblocks to the body's proper functioning. That's all you're doing. And most detox products and supplements, they're not FDA approved, so that doesn't really matter at all. But we just are looking for results, and foot baths absolutely do work. And I recommend them to all of my clients. I recommend foot baths to all of my clients, and I was really, really impressed with the performance of your device, the Ion Max. And so you have a couple of different versions of them. You have like the Ion Max, and you have the Ion Max 5. Can you explain the difference a little bit there?
Sure. So the IonizeMe Maxx is our most popular model, and that one already is the most powerful in the industry at ionizing and producing massive amounts of ions. We also have one that is called IonizeMe Maxx Dual, and that one is kind of like 2 Maxes in one. It's like 2 machines in one machine in case you want to detox 2 people at the same time. This is often very useful in practices where they want to have two people in the room, like a husband and wife detox, or at home if you just want to both detox at the same time. Could be a date night. I don't know. Sometimes people are watching a movie together and detoxing together. So a dual can be used for that. And then the Max 5 is pretty much the same thing, except it's just doubling the amount of output amps.
You guys listening to this show, I know that you're worried about the level of toxins you have in your body. You're worried about your toxic body burden and what it's doing to your health and to your brain, etc. So I created a quiz that you can check out at heavymetalsquiz.com. It just takes a couple of seconds. And after you take the quiz, you get your results and a free video series on everything related to detoxification. I answer a lot of your frequently asked questions about detox. You get a great video series, totally free, answering a lot of your questions. So check it out. Take it at heavymetalsquiz.com.
Mark, can you tell me about what we've been doing with the Veterans Administration?
Currently, Dr. Duncan, William Duncan, PhD, a big researcher in the field of detoxification. He has a lot of experience with helping disabled veterans. He's using the Ionic detox machines in hospitals, VA hospitals, to help a lot of veterans who've been exposed while serving in the military. He tells stories about those who were exposed by chemicals in Vietnam and all the amazing results that those veterans have been experiencing with our machines. And he's currently conducting research over in Oklahoma as well, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. He's working with the fire department there to help all the firemen in Oklahoma City to get detoxed as well.
Oh gosh, they get exposed to so many toxins with the burning paints and the chemicals in the garages and just, it's just horrible. I think that's just wonderful that you're working with the firemen to help detox them.
We're excited to find the results from those studies.
Yes.
Dr. Wendy, can I mention a few things about the animals we've been treating?
Yes, why not?
This was brought to my attention. I had a lady go at a small schnauzer, and she had told me that he had not been feeling well, had been just moping around, and gone to the vet, couldn't find anything wrong with him. So I told her to detox him. Within 3 days, just marvelous, was running around and with no problem. I got pictures of that. And I got another lady with a larger dog, and the dog had pancreatitis. There were scabs on his body, and they were very wealthy. And the vet drove all the way from city all the way up the mountains to in Colorado and took care of their dog. And what she did is she asked me about it, and I said, let's detox him. And so she went on Amazon, get one of those little harnesses that you put their feet in, and she detoxed the dog twice. And when the vet came up there, the dog jumped up out of his little pen and ran out. The vet couldn't believe it was the same dog. And we had a German Shepherd that had been bitten by a rattlesnake. And the doc had given him antibiotics. And the owner came to me and he said, all he does is mope around. He's not feeling good. We detoxed him. Well, first of all, he started out where he just sat down with his paws. Pretty soon he laid down, he put his front paws in there, didn't move around. And the following day was running around just like he was just feeling wonderful. And they couldn't believe it. So a lot of people just don't realize that the human body works a lot like the animals. And if they get toxins anyway from different things. And so if we can detox animals, we're going to find out we're going to get the same excellent results that we get through humans.
Yeah, I think that's so important because they love their pets, and 1.6, there's some crazy. Everyone loves their animals, and it's really sad when you look at the statistics that it's something like 1 in 1.6 animals are getting cancer. Like almost half of animals are getting cancers right now. And because, they're walking around on the grass where they spray the glyphosate, and that animals have a big toxin problem that, would be great to address in an IonizeMe Maxx foot bath.
Well, I have one lady now that's in Missouri. She's with the detoxing uh, program, but but the people there, they detox the humans. But now she's got one whole section where she's detoxing dogs, and she's now experimenting with cats with excellent results. She said, be surprised that people just don't realize their dogs just don't feel good. When they do a detox, couple detox, it just seems to pick them, give them new life, and where they're a lot more friendly. They just run around, they feel good, just like humans do. Like I mentioned, I've done over 300 detoxes myself, 82 years old, and I have to owe it to detoxing. As for yourself, Dr. Wendy, you've had so many of them, and the only thing difference for you and me is you're so much more beautiful than I am.
Oh, thank you. Well, I attribute that. I've done 200 foot baths. I've done 200 hours rather of foot baths, and will continue to be doing them. And I've done years and years of infrared sauna, lots of detoxification over the last, well over 15 years now. And so it definitely pays to detox. And doing foot baths is a big part of what I do on a regular basis to, improve my health and anti-age and get rid of all the chemicals, not only what you've accumulated over decades, but what you're continuing to be exposed to every single day. And one thing I wanted to touch on was the different colors of the water. And Dr. Cooper, you had sent me a newsletter that showed all the different foot baths of these different people. And it was honestly, a little bit nauseating, because to think of all these toxic chemicals that are coming out in the water, and they have different colors, like different toxins have different colors. And it reminds me one time of when I hadn't done a foot bath in a little while. And well, rather, I had done a series of foot baths. I've been doing it very regularly. And I went to Los Angeles for a month. And when I came back and I did another foot bath, the water was black after being in Los Angeles for a month. And prior to leaving to Los Angeles, the foot bath was kind of like, like a light brown. It looked fairly clean. I'd been doing them for, a regular basis. But yeah, there's just, I couldn't believe that the water was black right after coming back from Los Angeles.
Dr. Wendy, I think you hit it right on the nose. A lot of people want to associate colors. This is what comes out of the liver. This is what comes out of this or that. No, what comes out is what's within your body, the toxins. Because out of one individual, I got one individual, she'd been on a strict diet. And all of a sudden, what came out of her was a certain kind of brownish, yellowish color. But I had another man that had 600 acres of alfalfa, and he sprayed alfalfa with Roundup. Now, when he came to me, he had sores all over his face, in his hands, and they were just oozing. And I told him that what had happened is that Roundup was creating cancer. And when we started detoxing him, I've never seen it, but it was just like a black syrup that came out of him due to the Roundup and what it was doing to his body. And by the way, he lived all this quite a few years, but I told him he needed to get a machine. But he would say, no, I'm going to trust what the medical doctors, I know this, I feel a little bit better, but I'm going to try continuing their medication. He died a terrible, terrible death. The face fell apart and all these, just due to cancer, just from using the Roundup. So the thing is that if people want to detox, they're going to see certain things come out. A lot of people say, well, this is what comes out of the liver. I found that to be erroneous, and Mark and I had chatted about that, but it's what you've been eating within your body. And I've got colors of beautiful golds. I got them blue. I have no idea what the people were eating, except for one thing. Every one of them stated they felt tremendously much better once they were detoxed.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And what are some of the symptoms that people were reporting, say, before detox, and that they reported was relieved after using the foot baths?
Well, I got many, but let me tell you, I had a lady in Tempe, Arizona. She said, Dr. Cooper, I had the most wonderful gift. I could memorize numbers, give me a phone number, never forgot it. Give me a list number, I could add them up. When I went through menopause, she said, I lost that gift. And it was very difficult. She said, it was a tremendous gift. But she said, once I got your detox machine that evening at 8 o'clock, I went ahead and I detoxed, And that evening, as I slept, she said, all I dream about is numbers. The next morning, my gift was back. I could memorize again. I had a guy from KSUB radio came to me with the same thing. He said, Doc, I can't even give the sports. I can't even do the news. I just can't even think. But he did a detox. And after he said, what happened? He said, my mind just as clear as ever. I don't know, but the body knows what it needs to get rid of. And so that's why, like, if you've got a problem where you know that you've got a liver problem, sclerosis of the liver, everything like that, heavy drinkers, then go ahead and use that infrared belt to help that liver so you can detox it all the more. But a colleague of mine said he went to Canada and had a detox seminar, and the presenter said, whatever is most critical within the body is what the body's going to release. And I want to mention, I had a lady that called. She said she wanted a machine. She said, Dr. Cooper, I got stage 4 breast cancer. And I said, if you got stage 4, I don't know if the Lord wants to call you home, you're going to go home. But she said, I know that. But she said, I'd like to have some relief. And she did have relief. She eventually died, but she said, I'd heard from, she said, thank you for the relief. It was marvelous. And so that's what we have to offer. And the medical doctors can't explain it except that they don't like it. And, yeah. And I had one doctor that I do know, but he says it's fantastic. He said, I feel better now than I felt ever taking any drug in my life by detoxing.
We have found that some of the symptoms are being relieved after a series of treatments. Maybe it takes several treatments, maybe up to a month, to start seeing a difference. But sometimes it happens right away. And when does that happen? It happens when it happens quite a bit when the symptom has to do with the leg or the feet. So we're finding that if somebody has a swelling in the leg, they can actually notice in only one treatment a decrease in swelling in the leg. Or if they have pain of some kind in the foot, after the treatment, they start walking around. They say, wow, after one treatment, I have less pain in my foot. So it's kind of interesting. And I think we should mention also that there is something known as ionic hand detoxification as well. The first year, the very first time when I was selling the Ionic detox systems, I encountered a brother and sister that had chronic sweating of the hands their entire lives. They were middle-aged. And after some treatments with Ionic detox, that completely went away and it changed their lives. And in that case, they put their hands in the water instead of the feet.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't really thought of that before, but it makes perfect sense. I mean, yeah, you have a lot of pores in your feet and nerve endings and things like that. So, naturally you put your feet in the water, but you can do your hands too, especially if you have any kind of pain or arthritis or anything of that nature in the hand region.
Well, also, Dr. Wendy, the hands got just the pores just like the feet do, but whatever is closer to that area of the hands. I mean, if the feet, I had one lady that had rashes all over her arms and sores. Well, we're not going to do the feet because the problem is right at the hands. So we exactly did it within that area. I had a 51-year-old man come to me and he said, Dr. Cooper, he said, he's a good friend of mine. He said, Doc, he said, I've had this stink smell and I've had it for 15 years. He said, and he said, I can't be around people. And he said, I can't hold my urine and I've been on all this stuff and nothing helps me. He said, but I was working at the school for children, teaching them, and the kindergarten kids, they come up and they say, teacher, you stink. And he said, I had to tell them, put this imaginary line from, you can't cross the circle. I'll talk to you. But he said, I hadn't dated anyone, couldn't date anybody. It's just the smell. I checked with doctors. They couldn't find out what it was. So I started detoxing him, 100% cure. And he also found a sweet little gal, and they got married. But he said, I don't have to worry about it anymore. And the urination problem was taken care of also. So something builds up within the body. Now we need to release it. How are you going to release it? The body does not have the ability, due to what? The cells are clumping, the system is not functioning, the liver is not functioning the way it should. So all we're doing is we're pulling them out through the feet or through the hands to help that body so it can heal itself. And that's what a lot of people are, and people don't realize that you have toxins over a long period of time. Like, for instance, I remember about 6-7 years ago in Salt Lake City, they said there were toxins on vegetables. So they went to the different stores and they found toxins on every pesticides in every store that had vegetables that were not grown at home, I guess. But they found it was there. So people have to be careful on what they buy and how to get rid of the toxins. But if they're into your body, how are you going to pull them out? You're going to pull them out through detoxing.
Doc, it's interesting how you mentioned the smells coming out of people, and also in the actual detox session, you can smell, there's a difference in the smell as well. I recently was speaking to a customer who had quit smoking several months earlier, but when undergoing ionic detox, there was a smoky smell in the foot tub. So what's going on here? The smell of the toxins is also exiting the body.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine the amount of toxin levels in smokers. And no matter, for what I do testing on smokers, and no matter what time they quit in their life, if they even smoke for a year, they still have high levels of toxins in their body. And cadmium is one of the main toxins. And cadmium is more carcinogenic than all of the other heavy metals combined. And that's why smokers get cancer. So anyone, if you've ever smoked, you have got to do some detoxification. It's imperative. And I just say that because my own father died from esophageal cancer, which pretty much only smokers get. And so I've done a lot of research on this, and you've got to detox if you've smoked, even for just a year at any point in your life. But really anyone, it doesn't matter who you are, no matter what measures you take to remove toxins in your environment, in your diet, in your beauty products, your cleaning products, etc., you still are going to accumulate and be exposed to hundreds of chemicals per day and heavy metals. Even organic food has heavy metals. It might be pesticide free. Still, 7% of organic has pesticide residues, but it still can have heavy metals, even supplements. So no one is exempt. Everybody has to detox their body if they really, truly want to experience the level of health that their body is capable of. And for me, using Ionic Footbaths has been a really key component of my strategy for good health and longevity, and will continue to be. And a lot of people are curious about how the Ionic Footbaths work. What's not just toxins going into the foot bath water, you also have an increased output of toxins in the bloodstream, exiting through the urine and then stool for days after you do a foot bath. So it's not just the initial toxins coming out into the water. You just increase detoxification a few days after doing one.
I like to think of the water as more of a symptom of what's going on rather than the entire detox, because the detox, as we mentioned, is happening through the body's normal processes. Only a small amount of toxins that are exiting the body would be exiting through the feet into the tub.
Would you recommend taking any kind of binders or anything of that nature to kind of, catch all these toxins that are being mobilized by the foot bath?
I don't. Now, some of them they say they wanted to take charcoal, things such as this. No, I don't, because the experiences I've had is that you will pull the toxin. I've just thought of a lady who worked in the oil field 20 years, and she wasn't feeling good. So I detoxed her one time, two time, three, nothing hardly came out of her. And she said, and she sarcastically said, "Is this really going to work?" And I said, "Give it a chance. The fifth time that I detox, you should have seen what came out of her. It was a horrible black, but it was gooey. And at the intercellular, she'd been 20 years. This is what's going on within her body." And another thing I'm reminded, when my wife and I first moved to an area, we said of the neighbors visiting us, we went around to visit them. One of the houses we called on, as the lady came to the door, her name was Rosemary, and she introduced her husband, Bob. He was in a wheelchair without socks on. See, when I see that, I think that we've got a problem with gout. So I asked him if he had gout, and he said yes. He said, "I'm in a wheelchair. Within 2 or 3 months, it goes away where I can walk, but it keeps on coming back at different episodes of time." So I told him, I said, well, I was a chiropractor, and I said, "I've got something that could help you." And sarcastically, he said, "What are you going to do, adjust me?" I told him, "No, I got this machine." And so I let him borrow the machine. I showed him how to do it. And we belonged to the same church. But that was on a Monday. On the following Sunday, he was using a walker. And I told him to continue to detox it daily. The following week, he came with the cane. The third week, he was walking normal. It works. And the thing we need to do, we need to get what is causing the problem within our bodies. We can't say we're going to use this method or we're going to take this drug or that drug. No, let's let the body cleanse itself. And to do that, you've got to be able to detox. And you've got to have a powerful enough machine that's going to pull the toxins out. I'm not cutting anybody down, but the Chinese, there's nothing there. There's just no pull. But when you start pulling toxins out of the body, you're going to see the residue, as I've showed you pictures of. They were terrible. They look terrible. That's exactly what the machine is pulling out. And the people, like I had one lady, she said, "I feel 20 years younger. What is going on?" I said, the body is just being able to function because we're pulling the toxins that are causing the problems of tiredness, where you got brain fog. All these things will be pulled away as you start getting rid of what's causing the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only say for myself, I feel like my brain function is so much better, even than it was in my 20s. I had a bunch of mercury fillings removed, about 5 or 6 at the same time when I was 21. And I spent my 20s just in a fog and depression, and really couldn't genuinely smile, and really was not the best way to spend your 20s. And today, I feel like after so many years of detoxification using the IonizeMe Maxx foot bath, I just have so much better brain functioning and cognitive power, and my memory works great. And I just am so thankful for what I enjoy today, the health that I enjoy today. And yeah, so are there any questions that we haven't answered that a lot of people
I thought of
curious
one,
about?
Dr. Wendy.
Yeah.
You were talking about binders and whether they should be used. And it made me think of the idea that it is possible in some rare cases to have too much detox. Too much ionic detox is possible if somebody is very sick. And I thought we could have Doc Cooper speak on that topic a little bit.
Well, I've had a lot of people who have, I think I mentioned last time I chatted with you, Dr. Wendy, and that is, had a lady called me. She said, "I've done a detox and I'm dying. I'm so sick." So I didn't get worried about it. It's excited because I've done this enough to know it works. I said, "Okay, explain to me what you have done." And she said, "Well, I did 2 detoxes today, and then I have a infrared unit in my detox that just pulled far too much out of the body." And so what I did is I said, "Take 4 days off, then on your 5th day, detox again to explain to me how you're feeling." And she did. And she said, "I feel wonderful." And a lot of time people say, when I start detox, I'm getting a little nauseated. What's the problem? I usually think hypoglycemia. So I say, grab yourself a bite to eat. But one thing, we've had a lot of people, the older people have been on drugs in the past. They've used marijuana and all these other, and think, "Oh, Dr. Wendy, I sent you pictures of people who were on heavy drugs." people have got to know exactly what is within their bodies. Some of the most gross pictures of gods of goof that come out of people have been those who have heavily drugged in the past. And if they detox, it will pull them out. But I'm available for people to ask me a question, and they're welcome to call me, and I will. There's no charge, but I'll let you know so you don't go overboard. Because if I know a person's in acute condition, I may say go 3 days straight, but I got to know how they're feeling first. I got to know what their problem is, what's their weight, their height. And so if I can do that, we can save everybody a lot of problems, but they will get the results that they want because it works.
Yes, yeah. And that, you mentioned, that so many people are taking medications or on polypharma. My father was on 10 medications before he passed from his cancer treatments for esophageal cancer. And, I mean, most of us know, have a loved one on 5 or more medications, and people don't realize these are things that the liver has to break down, the body has to break down and metabolize. And with 100 million people in the US alone that have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, our livers are not working very well to detox the body. A lot of people are really behind the 8 ball when it comes to their body's ability to detox, and they need help. And that's why I want to talk a little bit more about the infrared belt that you created that you could use along with the foot bath. So tell us exactly how that works.
The infrared belt is also a detoxifying therapy as well as ionic detox. So since both of them are detoxifying, they do have a synergistic effect when they're used together. Infrared has a lot of research behind it. A lot of the research is coming out of Japan, but basically when you provide the body with a deep penetration of heat, then you have pain relief effects, you have better circulation, and you have a variety of healthy effects. So since the people are already sitting there getting detox, why not give them a second great therapy? And so that's why we added the infrared function.
Yeah, and it's super easy to use. You just kind of put it on, turn it on, and then do your foot bath. And you can use it alone as well. You could probably use it to improve a castor oil pack absorption. There's a lot of different uses for it.
That is correct, because you don't need to be detoxing at the same time. You can turn the machine off. Your low back is sore. Maybe you got inflammation of the lower back, the paraspinal muscles. What happens is when you put that bell down, it's going to warm that infrared. Infrared's going to warm that area and help that healing process too. You can use it on the other areas of the back or across the shoulders, and you don't have to be detoxing. But once you plug it in, and wherever you put it, you're going to be pulling the toxins from that area, wherever you put it, like across the liver. And most people say marvelous. They just tell me tremendous success that they're having, especially when you start cleansing the liver using the infrared belt.
Yes, yes. And so if you guys want to get your own foot bath or your infrared belt, go to myersdetox.com/footbath. And you can learn all about the Ionic Footbath, the Ion Max, and the Ion Max 5, which is kind of like, that's the cheaper model, and then the more expensive, more powerful model. It's just, costs more to make those. So you guys can, like I said, go to myersdetox.com/footbath. So Mark and Dr. Cooper, do you guys have anything else that you want that we left out of this conversation?
One other thing that I think your listeners would like to hear about. I don't know how many of your listeners are health practitioners or health business owners, but we have solutions for those listeners too, because we have actually created an additional income guide for health practitioners to help them know how to either add ionic detox to their existing business or to start a new business just doing that. Doc Cooper has more experience than anyone I know at operating an ionic detox business. And so we have not only the guide that he and the company have created, but we also have consultations from Doc Cooper, from his experience to help you practitioners to get going with Ionic Detox?
I love this work. It works. And it feels good at 82 to feel good. And I owe that to detoxing. But thank you for your kindnesses of letting us talk to your people, and they're in good hands when they're with Wendy.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I think it's really important to talk about the practitioners, because there's a lot of practitioners and doctors that listen to this podcast, and it takes time to learn how to detox people with the supplementation and just the testing that you can do and the complexities of that. But it's very easy to to recommend doing Ionic Footbath to patients. And it's a very simple thing for them to do, for the patients to come in or for the clients to come in. And you can have these available at, massage facilities, at doctors' offices, at, just any type of clinical setting or inpatient setting. You can offer detox foot baths. So I think that's a really, really important way to expose your patient to detox, and also eliminate their symptoms and things that are related to toxins and heavy metals and chemicals that everyone has that are inevitably contributing to their symptoms.
Not only that, but if your practitioners enjoy having a captive audience, I mean, they're already sitting there for 30 minutes getting detox. So why not present them with whatever you want to present them with, having to do with their health?
Yes, fantastic.
It's another benefit of Ionic Detox for the business owners. But again, yeah, we have the step-by-step guide to help the practitioners.
Okay, great. Like I said before, if you want to get your own Ion Max foot bath, go to myersdetox.com/footbath. And and you can see the foot bath that I'm using and that I'm recommending to my patients. And so I can't recommend them highly enough. And I like the foot baths because they're very easy to use. I use them when I'm working. You can use them when you're watching TV. They don't take extra time out of your day. It's not something, another thing that you have to fit in. You can do it while you're doing other things. And there's a lot of people that they need to detox, but they're not able to use an infrared sauna, which is another option for detoxification. Children can't use saunas. Very elderly people can't use saunas. There's a lot of people that are heat intolerant or have different contraindications, but almost everyone can use an Ionic foot bath. And like you said, Dr. Cooper, you've had, almost no patients really that can't use them, correct?
The one, if a woman's breastfeeding, if she is pregnant, if you have any large open wounds, and I always say contact me because I want to know about the wound. But if they have a pacemaker, contact their cardiologist first. Or if they're on psychiatric drugs, schizophrenia, anything like that, no, because it will pull them out of the system, and then they can have an episode.
Okay. Well, good to know. That's great to know.
Children can use them in many cases. If they're above a certain age, they can. If they're not going to be, a problem. If they're too young, no good. But for most, what we say, age 5 or 6 is a good age to start them at.
Yeah. Well, Mark, Dr. Cooper, thanks so much for joining us on the Myers Detox podcast. I'm like, it's going dark over here behind me. I'm losing the light. But thanks so much for joining the show. And I love doing shows like this for simple, easy, super effective things that you can do for detoxification. I think that everyone should have an Ion Max foot bath in their home to use for detoxification, because it's one of the most effective things that you can do to pull out all this garbage that you've been accumulating for decades that will and can cause health issues down the road. I've just talked to 100 experts on my new heavy docu-series about how toxins cause obesity, diabetes, how they cause dementia, brain fog, digestive issues. I mean, you name it. There is a toxin that causes every imaginable health symptom and diagnoses, and you've got to remove these toxins so the body can function normally. It's just amazing, the research that is out there that shows that toxins interfere in our hormones and our sex, stress, and thyroid hormones, and just every different organ system in the body. It's just shocking. And so that's why I do the work that I do. And I just thank you for creating tools like this that are so effective. So everyone, thanks for tuning into the Myers Detox Podcast. I'm Dr. Wendy Myers, and I'm bringing you experts from around the world to teach you how to upgrade your health, pulling out toxins so that you can enjoy the health that you deserve, because you deserve to feel good. So thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Wendy and Health and Med and Doc Cooper. We stand ready to detox America 2 feet at a time.
Yeah.
Well, all I say is amen.
And I interviewed Dr. Terrance Cooper also on my Heavy docuseries, which is coming out in February of 2024. You can go opt in for this totally free event at theheavymovie.com. And I interviewed over 100 experts on this series, talking about how toxins cause our chronic health conditions today, how toxins are contributing to the obesity epidemic, resistant weight loss, how they interfere in our sex, stress, and thyroid hormones, how they, interfere in our mitochondria functioning, causing fatigue and chronic fatigue, how they affect our brain health, our cognition, brain performance, and even contributing to dementia. We talk about diabetes, how the number one cause of diabetes is actually toxins. And we talk about how toxins interfere in digestion, how they cause aging, and just all those different mechanisms, and then the solution. So how to detox, what are the best ways to detox, what works, what doesn't. So lots of really life-saving information in this series. Go check it out. Sign up for free at theheavymovie.com.
The Myers Detox Podcast is created and hosted by Wendy Myers. This podcast is for information purposes only. Statements and views expressed on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Wendy Myers and the producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. Individuals on this podcast may have direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.